Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I am so excited to finally be sharing this card with you. I've been sharing lots of little teasers for it over on Instagram, but it is now time to share the tutorial. Okay, so to get started, I'm going to do my background first so that it has some time to dry before I'm ready to play with it. And what I've got here is a few Lawn Fawn inks, and I didn't actually end up using these in the long run. And that is because I don't think I've been using this technique accurately. And watching Mona's video that I do keep referring to, and I will make sure the link is in the description for this video, once I watched that, I felt like I kind of got a bit of a better hang of it. Now what I'm showing you here is kind of unrelated to the card. I did just want to show you this weird greasy film on this ink, and I will get back to that in a minute to tell you all about what happened there. So what I did first was use a bunch of my little Lawn Fawn ink cubes, and I spread them all over my craft mat and watered them down. This technique isn't new. This has been used by everyone forever, but as you can see, it just was not working for me. I'm really still not quite sure why. I have a feeling it is purely because of the amount of water that I used and that I didn't use enough. And so when I do use my distress inks in just a minute, I had much more luck with them. But I really think it was because of the water. But I thought I would include my trial and errors in this just so that you can see that as pretty as some of my things do turn out, I have some major hiccups. And it drives me mad to waste this kind of cardstock, but it is all just part of the process. So I decided to get out my distress inks instead, and I did this because they're just known for working well with water. And so what I've done differently this time was I added a little bit more of each colour and a whole lot more water. And you'll see me pause, and then I went back and I just added more, thinking that the runnier the better it might be for this ink, so that it can spread all over the paper before it even tries to really sink into it. I was actually a little concerned once I put my paper down and started to see just how vibrant those colours were, that this was going to be a background that was too dark. I was really hoping for softer colours, but once I turned it over, I was very impressed with how it turned out. I actually put it up on a reel and Instagram because I was just so amazed with how pretty it blended together. So here is the reveal. It's kind of got neon glow to it. It was just so pretty I had to share it. Even the leftovers on the mat looked pretty. It kind of had, that weird like rainbow oil slick look to it. I was just really impressed with how this turned out, and I'd love to know what you think of it too. Do you think this one turned out pretty, or is it just me? I gave it just a few minutes to dry so that this wouldn't blend into that wet background, so that it would sit on top. And what I'm doing here is just adding some of my favourite white gold watercolour pigment for a bit of sparkle, and some white acrylic paint so that it kind of looks like little stars in this background. So I jumped right into my background with this one and didn't really show the other things that I'm using for this card. So I have this stitched frame with these little banners. I'm actually going to trim the banners off because I don't own the frames, which is really silly. I should buy myself a set of the frames. I'm also using my little stitch clouds from that rainbow set and my stitch cloud border. And I'm cutting all of my clouds from the Pixie Dust cardstock, which is my absolute favourite. I just love that white sparkle. And I've also trimmed my clouds down the bottom here too, so that it fits perfectly within that border and the frame. All of my stamp sets today are my favourite mice. So I've got the You Autumn Know, I've got the Dandy Day, and Bubbles of Joy. And I'm also using my Yay Kite set for the kites. I thought that it would be really cute to have my little mice up in the clouds flying some kites. Does it make sense? Probably not, but it's cute. So here I am just stamping out all of my images a couple of times so that I've got those nice bold lines. And now what I'm going to do here is to, start assembling my scene. And it's all pretty self-explanatory, so while I'm doing that, I thought I'd have a little bit of a chat with you. So typically, over the last few years, I have always done a card in the early months of the year to kind of reflect on the previous year. And I've really enjoyed these in the past, and I know people have been looking forward to seeing my new one, but I never got around to it. And it's been playing on my mind that I haven't done it yet. And I guess the main reason for that is that I meant to sum up last year, and last year was mostly garbage. I don't have a lot of, positive things that happened last year that I'd want to remember and to put in a card. And I know that might sound a bit gloomy and down, but it was a really tricky year. We were ready to buy a house, and the housing market went bananas. So that plan went out the window. Houses went from affordable one day to totally out of reach and unobtainable the next. So that was quite a downer. It was my son's first year of school, and while that was great and he had a fantastic year, I put a lot of effort into making sure that was happening and that was good and all okay for him, and that he wasn't getting affected by all the other stuff that was happening, which was like a full-time job in itself. There were so many days last year that his school was closed due to, illnesses still going around. And then it flooded as well. We had torrential rain for weeks on end. And while we were lucky, we're kind of at the top of a hill here, we didn't get any water damage in that sense, but we got all the mold, because you can't avoid that in Queensland once that sun comes back out and the humidity kicks in. Everything went gross. And his school did have buildings destroyed through water damage as well, so that was just another obstacle. I can literally go back into my analytics from last year and see that March, April was where things kind of took a nosedive for my channel. And if we're people who chat back and forth a lot, or you have watched my videos from around that time, you would know that a bunch of people in my family got awful health diagnoses all around that time, myself included. So I wasn't feeling great. I was feeling pretty down around that time, and after that, I just didn't make as many videos. I just wasn't feeling it as much as I used to. And I see that happen all the time with crafty people. Making things like this and making videos and showing up consistently is tricky when you're not in, I guess, a good mood. Being crafty and making beautiful things to share with people, to me, isn't something that I can force. I feel like if I'm forcing a card, you can tell. But when the ideas come naturally to me and I'm excited about it, you can absolutely see the difference. And I didn't want to make cards and use my supplies just for the sake of it, just for views, because anything I made during that time just, to me, didn't feel like it was worth showing. But then things picked back up a bit, and I was getting back into the swing of things. So of course something would happen around that time, right? So my husband cooked something in the kitchen, which is right beside my craft space, because we live in a very small house and I don't have my own craft room. I craft on the dining table. And so when he cooked this food, it got super smoky in the house. And all of that smoke was full of grease. And when it settled all over my craft. Every paper product that I had out was destroyed. I couldn't reuse it. It was sticky, slimy. I couldn't wipe anything off. All of my Distress Oxide cards, I couldn't wipe them down because the ink would just wipe off. Those little ink pads I was showing at the beginning, they were in a drawer and they still got affected. All the dust that then, I guess, settles over time as well gets stuck in the grease, and it has this just horrid film. So I have cleaned my craft stuff, obviously, since then, but I also had to throw a lot of it away. And the things that I mostly threw away were the things that I had made, which made me really sad. So then I thought, I don't want to make things because they're going to sit around and get destroyed. So that was quite sad. But it's also given me a really good idea. So as of this video onwards, I would really like it if you like this card, then comment below. If you like it, I might send it to you. If a bunch of people like it, I'll do a draw and send it to someone. And I think I might do that with all of my cards from now on, just so that they're not sitting in my house, unless I've got a plan for them specifically for like someone's birthday. But I would really like these out of my house. I bought myself a bunch of international stamps that I think I've got the right ones that they can go almost anywhere. And I would just really like to send these to people. I don't care if you keep them for yourselves or you pass them on to other people, but I just don't want them in my house anymore, because throwing out a bunch of pretty things that I made, it just hurt too much. And so you can kind of tell what the theme was for last year. It was just like a snowball. It was just one thing after the other, and it just kind of kept going until the point where my husband and I were looking at each other thinking like, is this ever going to end? Are we ever going to catch a break? And just when we thought we would, a few days before the end of the year, our oven died. And we were just like, okay, this is it. This is the last bad thing for the year. A few days before Christmas, I snapped on my, crazy mum happy holiday face. We've got to get through these last few days. We did. It was great. And that year was over. But now we're in a new year. And so reflecting on that year and making a card for it just kind of didn't feel right. I couldn't think of enough good things to make in a card. And I know that sounds bad. There were good things in there. There were wonderful things in there, but none that I could think of to pull together for a theme. So instead today, I'm going with something a little bit different and a bit cheerier. And it's going to be more of an outlook after pulling ourselves through all that time. So that's why I've gone with the sentiment, the sky's the limit. While there was a lot of awful things last year, I actually kind of redirected all of my creativity into some different projects, and they are coming along really well. And I'm excited for them. For now, I'm just trying to be a little more positive and thinking about all the good things that can still come from this year. So far, we've had some big wins. We're still ready for a house. The market's looking better. My son's enjoying school. My daughter's thriving. We've already had lots of great little family celebrations, and I've already done things this year that I typically would not have ever done because I'm shy and an introvert in person. So I feel like things are looking up, and this year has already started off way better than last year, and I'm just hoping to keep that feeling going. So while this card might not be themed as it typically would, I feel like I like this much better. This one is hopeful, it's pretty and sparkly. I feel like it's very me, and it makes me happy to look at it. And that's the feeling I'm trying to carry with me this year. I hope you love how this card turned out. I had so much fun making it. And honestly, I wonder if I can even top how pretty it is with any of the other cards I make this year. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and please don't forget to subscribe to see what I make next. Thank you so much for watching. Bye for now.